Hi, welcome to Oma's Kitchen.
Oregano.
October is the perfect time to make pumpkin chocolate chip cookies. This is a versatile recipe, and you can include nuts or just chocolate chips. We will use 1 full can of pumpkin and about 1/3 of a second can of pumpkin. I have a cup of Crisco or vegetable shortening in my mixing bowl here, and I will soften it in the microwave for a few seconds. I have a 12-ounce bag of mini chocolate chips, and I have split it between 2 bowls, and I have some toasted nuts here. These are walnuts and pecans that I've toasted in the oven at 380 for 5 minutes. So in the microwave the shortening goes. I'm going to pour the nuts into a bowl and reuse the parchment paper. I have cane sugar, and I'm going to include 2 cups of that. And I should have done this in my food processor. At least I can show you that you can do this by hand, but it definitely takes some patience and elbow grease. This would have taken 30 seconds in my food processor, but I'm mixing the cane sugar with the shortening. Ah, the days before I had a food processor. When it's completely mixed together, it will look like wet sand at the beach. You want to make sure there's no big lumps of shortening in there. Now it's time to add our 1 1/3 can of pumpkin. While I'm mixing these together, I will put the recipe up here for you. Some of my people like just chocolate chips and some like the nuts, so I split the dough in half and I included 1/4 cup of pecans and 1/4 cup of walnuts in with the other half. If you're making your cookies all the same, there's no need for you to split the recipe. Once the shortening, pumpkin, and sugar are all well mixed, I add in a tablespoon of cinnamon. And I like to add this in before the rest of the dry ingredients and mix it in well so there's no clumps of cinnamon in the dough. Now it's time to add the dry ingredients, and we're going to start with 4 cups of all-purpose flour. Then 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 2 teaspoons of baking soda. Then 1 teaspoon of salt. And that's it. That's all of the ingredients for the base pumpkin dough. And then you can add things as you want them. Mix it all in together until all of the flour is well mixed in. And because I'm splitting my dough into 2, I take half the dough and put it in a different bowl. Okay, so mine's split in half. I'm going to add just chocolate chips to the first batch of cookies. So I mix the chocolate chips in well with the dough. This is where you'll want to preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, 390 if you have a gas oven. Use a kitchen tablespoon to scoop out fat, rounded tablespoonfuls of dough and drop it onto a cookie sheet about 1 inch or 2 apart. Bake for 12 to 14 minutes. These come out as these nice cakey thick cookies. And I want to flip one over to show you that at 12 to 14 minutes, they get nice and golden brown on the bottom. They're so good, and half the time I don't even glaze them. They're good as they are. And the chef gets to try one. I have to eat one every time I make these. Now it's time to put my second batch in my big mixing bowl. And to this one, I will add the half a cup of toasted nuts and about half a cup of the mini semi-sweet chocolate chips. And mix that all in well together too. So my chocolate chip only ones are finished, and people around here swiped a couple of them while they were cooling. Do the same thing with the chocolate and nut ones. Cook for the same amount of time at 375, 12 to 14 minutes. Let's make the optional glaze while the last batch of cookies are in the oven. I have a cup of powdered sugar. I really only make the glaze if I'm making these cookies for a get-together or a Halloween party. I have a tablespoon of butter here. I'm going to melt it a bit in the microwave till it's almost melted, and I will add that in along with a half a teaspoon of vanilla and 2 tablespoons of milk, and it can be any milk that you have. And you're going to want to stir that really well until it gets nice and silky looking. And then I cover it over and leave it until my cookies are completely cooled off before I glaze them. Since I've made 2 different kinds of cookies today, I've decided to glaze them 2 different ways. The ones with just chocolate chips, I'm doing a crosshatch pattern with the glaze across the top. The ones that include nuts, I've decided to just glaze in one direction. That way people can tell the difference when they go to eat them. I've put parchment paper under my cooling racks to make cleanup a little easier. It doesn't seem to matter how I glaze them. It always falls through the cracks a little bit and makes a mess on the countertop. But these cookies are so worth the mess, and it's an easy recipe that kids can help make. There you have it, pumpkin chocolate chip cookies in Oma's kitchen. Thank you for joining me in Oma's kitchen. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll upload more tasty videos soon, and a special shout out to Moon Pie and Lil Bit. Till next time.